God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, "Let there be light."
All right, everybody, welcome to Tuesday Night Bible Study. Glad that you could all make it. I love doing this every week with you guys. I hope that your week is going tremendously. Listen, guys, if you are here, throw something up in the comment section. Let me know that you have arrived. I will be making sure that I say hello to everyone who pipes in here eventually. But as always, we are streaming live on both the YouTube and Facebook platforms. So I say this about once every couple of weeks or so. Just remember that I rarely see comments in real time. Most of the time it's delayed just a bit. So anything that you want to throw up there, make sure you get it in sooner than later. But I just want to say welcome. I'm glad that you guys are here. Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday evening. Again, if you've been here for a couple of seconds, you haven't thrown anything up there, throw something up in the comment section. Let me know that you have arrived, and I will be saying hello to everybody here in just a minute. But let's open in a word of prayer tonight. Join me if you would. Lord, we thank you for the time we have. We thank you for this kind of a short break at the beginning of our week, Lord, where we can get together, we can get to know more about each other, get closer to you. We can dig deeply into your word, and we can really have some great dialogue. So I thank you, Lord, for this time, and I pray that tonight you help us to pull something maybe out of this text that we didn't realize was there, and maybe learn something a little bit deeper. So we thank you for this time, and we look forward to this time together in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, guys and gals, as I said before, throw something up there in the comment section. Let me know that you have arrived, and we're going to be in tonight, Genesis chapter 16. That's right. This is the chapter with Hagar and Ishmael. Yeah, truly, and you'll see at the end, we will get into the birth of a new world religion called Islam that actually rises from this chapter. So anyway, we'll get to all that here in a few minutes, but I'm hoping that your week is going well. Let me jump over to the comment section to see what's happening out there. Gino and Tammy first in line, almost always, not always, but regularly first in line. What's up? Hello, guys. Glad you're with us. Howdy, Mini Pearl Tammy is here. Always good to have you. I'm telling you, man, one of these days, I say it all the time, I'm going to show up with one of those straw hats with the price tag hanging off it for you. You watch. What's up, Lauren? Hey, y'all, happy Tuesday. It's always good to have you. Always. What's up, Janelle? Hope that you and John are doing great. And Veronica, happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well, man. Missed you and Lewis. We had some baptisms this last week. It was pretty awesome. We're going to have another one coming up this week. Pretty cool stuff. What is up, Deb and Marie? So good to have you both, man. You guys are, it was so much fun this last week. Deborah, I hope that you're having a spectacular week after getting baptized and seeing all the support from your church family and friends and everybody else. It was great. What's up, George and Darla? And Pat Baker, hey, hello, all y'all, good folks. Very, very good. Lots of stuff there. What's up, Darla? Always good to have you. And Judy, we love having you with us. George says, I identify as arriving first. Well, Lord knows we better honor that or we're all getting canceled. So there you go. What's up, Bruce? Glad that you have joined us tonight. My favorite foot doctor, bass player, and antique car builder extraordinaire. All right, guys and gals, we're going to jump into Genesis chapter 16. We have several people that are out this week doing other stuff, kind of traveling around the country too. So they'll be joining us, not live, but maybe just a little bit later they'll be popping in. All right, guys. So just a couple of questions tonight, only two. And tonight may go faster than I had really anticipated, but we will see how it goes. We will see. Let's see. What is Deborah saying? She says, I'm having a spectacular week. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. See, they didn't even pay me extra to hold you under or nothing. You survived. Isn't that great? I hope you saw the video. The video's up. It's on our website, www.therevolutionchurch.org. Videos there. You can watch yourself get baptized. It's all up there. Pretty cool stuff, man. It was very, very meaningful week for me and for everybody else. All right, guys, question number one, and then we're going to jump right into the text of Genesis 16. Question number one. Tell of a time when you made a rushed decision to do something without waiting to kind of see how things were going to unfold. Without waiting, maybe you were told, you know what? You need to wait because it's going to take a while, but you had to jump the gun because you just couldn't wait. Or maybe you just had an impulse decision and you jumped too quickly into something. Either way, we've all done this. We've all done this lots of times. I used to do it with old cars and motorcycles and stuff like that. It's like, oh no, I got to have that. Oh no, I can't leave without that. No, I can't sleep if I don't buy that old panhead or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh. And then you look back and realize how much money you kind of threw away. Anyway, so tell of a time when you made a rush or even rash decision to do something without taking your time and waiting to sort of see how things unfold. A lot of people do this like regularly, and I think we've all done it at one point or another, because a decision is going to be made at the very beginning of this chapter we're going to jump into in just a second. That's a rush decision because they didn't wait. So let's go over to the text. Let me see what the Bible has to say. Well, I'm not going to go too far because I got a couple pictures I want to show you that illustrate this point. But let's jump over to this first. Now, remember, God has made a promise to these octogenarians. Is that the right word? They're 80-somethings. I think it's octogenarian. I may be wrong about that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm all into language. Language is kind of my thing, but I don't know if I got that one right. So if it's wrong, let me know. All right. Now, Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne no children. We knew that she was barren, and we knew that Abram had not been able to participate as far as making anything work correctly to have children. So they collectively were not able to have children. She was barren, and he wasn't helping the matter at all. So be aware, God had already promised them children. And these people are in their mid to late 80s at this point. So that's got to be like, oh, really? That's kind of funny. But anyway, God makes them a promise. They just are supposed to wait. That's why the question I put up today says, tell about a time when you made a rushed decision to do something without waiting to see how things unfold. Because these guys are not going to wait. They're going to take it into their own hands. Watch this. Now, Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. But, there's that but. I see a but. But she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. And it is very important. Let me make sure I have my ringer turned off here. Hold on just a second. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I just make sure my ringer was off. The word for slave here is a little bit different than what slave is a good word, but it's not the right word. A slave is property that you buy and sell that does what you want, when you want, how you want it. That's what slaves do. They have no will of their own. Their will is whatever your will is for them. And Hagar actually, technically, would not fall under this category. She would fall under, in Hebrew, she would fall under what's called the category called shifka. That's an old Hebrew word for a maid servant. It's very specific. It's almost like if you've ever, let me just really quick stop sharing this for a minute. I want you to see this. If you've ever been to a wedding and you've seen the bride has the bridesmaid, but then she has like the matron of honor or the maid of honor. And the maid of honor is like the right-hand person that's there to look after almost every need of the bride. The shifka is similar to that. So yes, she's a slave, but not like a slave like you think. She's much higher up. She's actually, truly, it would almost be better to call her like the personal assistant to the wife, because that's why the term maid servant is actually a better translation, or handmaiden, probably even a better translation. Slave, again, slave's a broad category, but there's the handmaidens, the maid servants that are like the personal, like all they do is tend to the wife. That's what Hagar was. And then below them are like the slaves. These are the people that grovel at your feet, that kiss your boots when you come into the room. These are the people that you buy and sell at your whim. Their only will is whatever your will is. That's a slave. And they generally, almost always in this culture, they would have a mark placed on them where everyone knew they were property, they're slave. We'll go into that branding idea here a little bit later, not tonight though. So Hagar's not just a slave like that. Hagar is actually like the personal assistant to Sarai. That, again, slave, it's the right word, but it kind of pulls up the wrong imagery in today's sort of economics of how we view English. So let's go back to the text. Okay. Here we go. So she had an Egyptian slave. She had a shifka. That's the Hebrew word. She had a shifka named Hagar. So she said to Abram, the Lord has kept me from having children. Her womb was barren. She says this, go sleep with my slave, with my shifka, my personal assistant, the woman whose job it is to look after my every whim, like the matron of honor looks after the bride at the wedding. So elevated above a regular slave, but still, a slave, I guess. Okay. And then Sarai's idea is perhaps I can build a family through her. So in other words, it seems to be that once in a while, maybe Abram is still able to do things that would be required to make babies, but her womb just does not bear children. Now, they should at this point be saying, you know what? God promised us kids from ourselves. So we just need to wait on the promise that God has made. But instead they take it into their own hands. And her idea is, I tell you what, Abram, my maidservant, my handmaiden, my shifka, why don't you take her? Take her, and maybe I can have children through her. Let me explain another thing really quick. In this culture, this was super common. It was super common in this culture where an older woman whose womb was no longer able to conceive or give life and that sort of thing. It was very, very common in the Mesopotamian region in this culture for the shifka to be a surrogate womb. And then the unfortunate thing is that's different than today. When the shifka, when Hagar, the slave, the maidservant, the handservant, when handmaiden, when she would have the baby, the rights to the baby actually didn't belong to the mother. It would go to the woman she served. So the primary, or what's called, and you're going to love this, what's called the chief wife, which would be Sarai, has priority over what would be considered a slave wife, which would be the shifka, the Hagar, because Abram is going to take her in that respect and have a child with her. But then when Hagar has the baby, technically in the Mesopotamian region, especially in this area, in this culture, the ownership of that child, the day-to-day decisions for that child would not be made by the mother who birthed, by the shifka. The decisions that are made, all the motherly decisions, all the teaching, the punishment, the rewarding, basically everything that a mother would do actually is now out of the hands of the shifka and in the hands of the woman that she served. So in this case, it would be Sarah. So technically in this culture, Hagar could have the baby, but Sarai would have full ownership, not really ownership, but full sort of control over what happens to and with that child. Isn't that really odd? But that's how this sort of culture worked. Not so today. That's for sure. So what did Abram do when Sarah said, hey, why don't you go sleep with my slave? Abram agreed to what Sarai said. So after Abram had been in Canaan for 10 years, Sarah, his wife, the chief wife, took her Egyptian shifka slave, Hagar, and gave her to her husband to be his wife. She now becomes not the chief wife, so not the top of the pyramid. She becomes what's technically called the slave wife. Verse 4, she slept with Hagar. Not she, that would be really weird. No, sorry. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. Holy cow, we've got a problem on our hands, guys and gals. Listen, God made a promise. They didn't wait. They took the promise into their own hands, which brings us to the problem of the night. Again, question number one. Tell of a time when you made a rushed decision to do something without waiting to see how things would or should unfold. Let me see what people are saying to this. Actually, I'm going to show you a couple pictures first because people are still responding. What are some bad decisions people make? Hold on just a second. This is a bad decision. Like robbing somebody, maybe holding up a liquor store or doing something stupid like this. This is a holdup, holding up a bank. Bad decision. Here's another one. Look at the guy with the beer in his hand and the cops behind him. Not a good decision here. No, no, no. Here's one. This one kind of makes me laugh. It's the county, from what I understand, was contacted. There's a pothole in the road. They didn't do anything about the pothole in the road. So what had happened? One of the people that lived there said, fine, if you're not going to fix the pothole, I'm going to plant a tree in there. I'm going to plant a garden in that thing. What do you think of that? How you like me now? That's sort of the way that they remedied that problem. How about this bad decision? Here's a bad decision for you. Bad decision to close, man. That's horrible. That's horrible. Here's another one. Got a truck run through a giant mud puddle or giant thing of water, and these kids are running around thinking they're going to not get wet. That's not a good decision. A couple more for you. Here's a decision that apparently wasn't a good one. Okay, I'll leave that one alone. How about this one? Overeating, right? We've all done this. I feel like that sometimes. Ugh. I feel like that after a big meal. My gosh. We all make bad decisions, right? Oh my goodness. So let's go to see what people are saying that they have done as far as bad decisions. All right, here we go. Hold on. Oh, I got people were popping in. I didn't even notice that. Checking in. George Carroll, don't forget to order some robes. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Terry cloth. It's beautiful when you come out of the baptistry. Frida, what's happening, Frida? Always good to have you, sweetheart. What is up, Big Frank? You know what I'm going to ask you, bro? It was about 70 degrees and sunny here. Give me the weather report. What's it like in Phoenix, man? Let me know. Tell me about Arizona. I want to be there. I want to go visit you. Frank, I'm coming to see you. I hope you have a weight room because I want to lift weights with you and then jump in your swimming pool and eat your food. I'm coming to see you. How you like that? Bruce, okay, back to things that he did fast without thinking about it first. Bruce bought an electric 6-string guitar and never learned to play it. I was going to say me too, but everybody know I was lying. But that's a pretty good one. Lauren, getting into a relationship, actually multiple relationships. I'm getting my drink ready. I don't know what Lauren's going to say next. We have a drinking game. Now, again, this is club soda. This is not like alcohol. This is just club soda, or I have coffee or water, whatever. We have a little game here in case she says a certain thing. I'm just getting myself ready, Lauren. Bad relationships. Many of them are bad ideas. We still love you. We're glad you're in a relationship with us, kids. We love you, Lauren. All right, Tammy, after 6 dates, decided to get married as a teenager. I was terrified of being an old maid. What was I thinking? Apparently you were not. After 6 dates, I'm not going to pick on you, though. We've all done things. What's up, Adam Schultz? He says, hey to everybody. Maidservant. That's right. That's right. Nice. Oh, yeah. You're such a good guy. All right, Janelle, it's unlikely anyone asked if she wanted to sleep with him or that it would have mattered had she voiced an opinion, so she might as well be the slave. Yeah, I totally agree, right? Oh, my gosh, right. All right, Brenda, it was a rushed decision to buy the house I'm in now. Well, we like that you have that house because we get to go invade it all the time. 2007, we had waited. Had we waited, I would not be in as much debt as I am in now. We're all in debt. Everybody that owns anything is in debt. We're all slaves to the debt, right? The home we were in would have been paid off within that year. On the other hand, I would not be surrounded by this support group of friends that I have today. That's true. Now we would come bust in on you anyway. Schultze, oh, she's saying hi to Adam. That's good. Gino and Tammy. Gino says, when I got out of the Army, I felt afterwards that I should have re-enlisted for another 4 years, but at the time I couldn't wait to get out. I hear people say that kind of stuff all the time. So you know what? Those things happen. All right. Frank's giving us the weather report in Phoenix. 91 and hot. I love it. I'm coming to visit you, man. I'm telling you, we're going to lift weights in your garage and swim in your pool. I'm going to eat your food. Anytime. He says anytime. I'm coming to see you, man. I'm coming to Arizona. That's it. Lauren. That's our thing. Here we go. All right. It's just club soda. Oh, wow. I had to put in the funny noises for you, Lauren. Woo! There you go. Psycho X. Every time she says that, I have to take a drink of something because she says it a lot. That's all right. You always make me laugh, Lauren. They're very good. All right. So let's go back to the text. I'll leave this question up for one more minute just in case anybody wants to answer it. Tell us about a time when you made a rush decision to do something without waiting to see how things would unfold. Okay. Let's go back to the Bible. Oh my goodness. Here we go. All right. Now, shoo. All right. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. So we got a baby on the way. Now watch this. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. These are fancy words for when Hagar gets pregnant, she no longer treats, the bride, I'm sorry, the matron of honor, the maid of honor is no longer treating the bride with as much respect as she normally would. Because she's starting to see herself as, hey, wait a minute. You can never have babies. What? Look at me. I'm going to have a baby. So what am I serving you for? She starts to have a little bit of an attitude. Now, verse 5, then Sarai says to Abram, you are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. Don't you love that? Abram, you are responsible. Woo! She says this, I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me. So she disrespects her. She doesn't have any more kindness for her. Instead, she just says probably not so nice things. Okay. May the Lord judge between you and me. So what does Abram do? He says, listen, your Shifka, your maidservant, is in your hands. Do with her whatever you think is right, whatever you think is best. In other words, do what you want with her. I only did my thing. I'm not attached, so whatever you want to do, go ahead. That's basically what he was saying. Now, that's not in the text, but you don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure this one out. Abram and Sarah were doing stuff. Babies were not popping out. They took it into their own hands to do it in a different way. He went along with it. Oh, sure. Yeah, okay. Gotcha. I'll take her. He wasn't attached to her. He wasn't emotionally attached. He didn't give a rip one way or the other. This is why he says, whatever, do whatever you want with her. If you want to, boil her in oil, go ahead. I made that up. He's not going to do that. But I'm just saying, if you want to throw her out, throw her out. If you want to, send her to Albuquerque or whatever, you want to send her to Phoenix, have her stay in Big Frank's spare room, go ahead and do that, right? So anyway, so Abram says to his wife, Sarai, he says, your slave, your Shifka, your maidservant is in your own hands. Do with her whatever you think is best. Well, what does she do? Then she mistreated Hagar. And so Hagar fled from her. She mistreated her. Wow, we're going to come back to that in just a minute. Now watch this. Verse 7, the angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. And it was a spring that is beside the road to Shur. Now, a little bit of theology here. In a very general, broad sense, whenever you see this is called the definite article. This is the word the. I'm going to make the text bigger. Whoa. Where'd it go? Yikes. Where was I? There it is. The. I just made the text bigger and I lost where it was. See this definite article right there? The. Let me make it bigger. Okay. The angel of the Lord. Boy, I made it too big. It's doing goofy things. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Back to here. Okay. The angel of the Lord. When you see the word the in front of angel of the Lord instead of an angel of the Lord can be any angel. It can be Gabriel, can be Michael, can be one of a million. Doesn't matter. It's just an angel. Whenever you see this in a very broad sense, this is called a theophany, or sometimes a Christophany. This is God himself taking the form of the messenger angel, the angel of the Lord. So this is God himself. which means it's the person of Jesus Christ, because God is spirit. Christ is usually the only one that we find that puts on human form. So the angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was a spring that is beside the road to Shur. Now, Shur, we know this for a fact. This is heading down to her homeland of Egypt, because that's where she's from. So she basically was like, I'm leaving Canaan. I'm leaving this place that's going to be called Israel. And I'm heading back, heck with you guys. I'm out of here. I'm heading back towards Egypt. So she's stopped at a spring of water that was beside the road on the way to Shur, which is on the way to Egypt. And he said, the angel of the Lord said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and to where are you going? And she says this, I'm running away from my mistress, Sarai. The mistress is the girl that she serves. See, if you serve a man, he is the master. If you serve a woman, she is the mistress. So Hagar serves Sarai. Therefore, Hagar is the shifka, the maidservant, the handmaiden, the slave, and Sarai is the mistress. So I'm running away from the woman that I serve, my mistress, Sarai, she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. You catch that? Submit to her. The angel added, I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. Now, I'm going to come back to this in just a minute. I want to go up here. That says this. Remember this, verse 6, your slave is in your hands, Abram said, do to her whatever you think is best. Then Sarai mistreated Hagar. You see that? So she fled from her. We'll come back to the rest of this in a minute. So Hagar is on the move because her mistress, the woman that she serves, has mistreated her. All right, let me go to my second question. This is the last question of the night. Tell of a time or two, if you want to, when you have been mistreated. It can be by anybody for any purpose. Feel free to share anything you want. There's no judgment, no condemnation here. So maybe it was a relationship you were in. Maybe it was a boss where you were mistreated at a job. I mean, there's a million reasons why we can be mistreated, right? So tell about a time or two when you personally have been mistreated. Maybe you were treated poorly. Maybe you were treated severely. Maybe you were lied to and what you got wasn't what you were promised. That's mistreatment. Happens in jobs all the time. Yeah, you come work for us and we'll give you this office and give you this raise and give you this salary and we'll give you this much vacation and we'll take good care of you. And you drop your job, you come to work for them, you find out there was a bunch of, they just wanted you there because of your talent, but they didn't really give you what you were promised. Happens in jobs all the time. It happens in relationships all the time. Yeah, come with me. Life's going to be awesome. And here's what your life's going to be like. Then you give up your life and you go with that person and you're like, wait a minute, this is not what I signed on for, right? So those things happen all the time. So we can be physically mistreated. We can be emotionally, spiritually, mentally. We can be severely mistreated by way of just people not treating you fairly. Like someone else is always getting the promotion. They're always getting the good job. They're always getting the raise. They're always getting the thank yous. They're always getting the recognition. And you're simply being stepped on or looked over or stepped over. So maybe it's just not fair. But there's a million reasons why you may have been mistreated. So I'm asking you to tell of a time or two or more when you personally have been mistreated. Again, it can be anything. There's no judgment here. Remember that. You will never, ever, ever, ever here find condemnation or judgment. You will not. We'll be honest with each other, and I will always tell you what the Bible says about stuff, of course. But on a personal sense, no one here will ever ridicule you. No one will pick on you. No one will insult you. I promise you that. So this is a safe place. So feel free to share when you have been mistreated. Tell about a time or two when you were personally mistreated. Happens all the time. Very, very common. In the case of the story we're reading, Hagar is given basically to Abram to have sex to bear a child. And they do, and she does. And then in return, she starts to treat her mistress not nicely, to which the mistress now treats the slave terribly, mistreating her. She runs away. God says, listen, man, not man, but listen, young lady, go back, stick it out. I've got a plan. It's going to be okay. So that's what God tells her. But remember, God told Abram and Sarai last week, not last week, but in our study last week in chapter 15, promised them children. Did they listen? No. Did they wait? No. Did they take it in their own hands? Yep. We'll see what we'll see what Hagar does next. So in that respect, tell of a time when you, or maybe 2 times or 3 times, tell about when you have personally been mistreated. And I'll show you some mistreatment here. Now, nothing severe, of course, but just a few pictures here. You can have like a disagreement that turns into a physical altercation where you mistreat each other. That happens, right? It's common. Well, not super common, but it happens. Then you have people that complain to the poor. Look at the poor girl there. She's making probably barely minimum wage, and somebody that we would probably call a Karen is going to basically mistreat her and blame her for something that she's angry about. Let me tell you something. It's not the cashier's fault. She's there trying to support her family. She's trying to make a living so she can eat. She's not trying to rip you off because of your plastic wrap. How about this one? This is an official uninvite to a wedding. Seen this happen before. It makes people really upset. Like, here's a funny thing. People that don't invite you to a wedding still want you to know the date, like save the date, because they would love for you to send them gifts or go to Target or wherever else, Walmart, wherever else they're registered at, and buy them something on their wish list. They would love for you to do that. Don't forget to save the date. Don't forget to send a gift. Don't forget to send a card. Maybe send some cash, but you're not invited. Yeah, that's fun. Then, of course, there's physical violence that is just unacceptable. Then, of course, there's road rage. You know what I mean? You get mad, you scream, you yell, you lose your witness, you do dumb things. Here's one. This makes me think of one of our people that always shows pictures of her cats. Now, the cat's not honestly being mistreated. It's just been given a bath. But if you ask the cat's not too happy about it. This one, I'm telling you what, man. If you are a man and you ever see this, I'm telling you, you must do something about this, because I promise you I would. I don't expect women to step up and do anything about this. I expect you to maybe express your displeasure. But men, I'm going to tell you, if you ever see this, you make somebody get up to let this woman have a seat. This is sickening beyond words. If you see an elderly person standing there, hunched over, holding onto a bag, can barely stand there, and you got some fat dude with his phone and some young guy sitting there with his backpack, he's all athletic with all his athletic crap on, and they're just ignoring this woman. If you're a man, you move one of them and you let the woman sit down. That's the way it works. That's exactly what I would do, and that's what I would expect a man to do. My goodness gracious. Okay. So the question on the board is, tell about a time or two when you were personally mistreated. I'm going to jump over to the comment section and see what people are saying. All right. What do we got? Adam Schultz. Oh, this is a good Bible story. Yeah, right. I'm remembering all this. And I think I even did a painting of these characters a long time. I'm not surprised, dude. As I've said before, Adam Schultz is probably the best realism artist I've ever seen. He's like, in my opinion, okay, I'm a nobody, but in my opinion, this guy's the best realism artist I've ever seen in my life. Like Norman Rockwell realism type of stuff. This guy is incredible. Jessica says, bullying and gossip in the workplace. See, it happens all the time, right? And it's sad, and I'm sorry that happens. Bill, I like that rotary phone hanging on the wall behind you. Oh, you see that, right? That one right there. You see that? Used to, when we lived in Lake Stevens, before we moved to this side of the country or to the Midwest or whatever, Chicago, we used to use that. That actually works. It's got a plug in the back where you plug your. So if you were to call my house when I lived in Lake Stevens back in 2009, or, for the 40 years leading up to that, I would have picked up that phone and answered it. Thanks, man. All right. Bruce, I've gotten the silent treatment too many times. That is mistreatment. That's ignoring. It's making someone invisible. No one likes that garbage. Judy, bullying from family member and husband. Yeah. See, that's tough, right? That's mistreatment. Gino and Tammy, from Tammy, when I ignored the disrespect that the man I was going to marry showed me when I was very young. Yeah, I know these. I've known these people for a long time, since the 80s. And she got married very, 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 very young to that guy. And he was not a good guy. I'm sorry you went through that. Never, ever, ever accept or affirm someone who treats you disrespectfully. You're worth more than that. Tammy, number one. Oh, she's numbering them. Number one, sister-in-law attempted to omit my name from my mother-in-law's obituary after years of me being in the family. Number two, in junior high, I heard hurtful comments because of my big Bucky Beaver teeth. I'm so sorry about both. Lauren, a new pulmonologist. I said a great long word. I think I got it right. A new pulmonologist I was trying years ago wouldn't listen to anything I said. He had no bedside manner. Oh, it stinks. Worst hospital experience I've ever had. They even put me in a regular room. I can't call for help, so I need to be in ICU. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I'm so sorry. So tell me what a pulmonologist does. Bruce, you're watching. You're a doctor. You've been a doctor longer than I've been alive. I'm assuming pulmonary has something to do with cardio, I would assume. Maybe something like that. So somebody who's in the know, anybody who's medical, Tammy, you're medical. Anybody help me out. Tell me what a pulmonologist does. It's heart or breathing, maybe. I don't know for sure. Okay. All right. Janelle, my first husband became verbally abusive when he drank. That along with some really stupid behaviors why I took the kid and left. Okay. Yeah, I get that. Hello. What's up, Greg? Brenda, I was bullied all through school and made to feel inferior to everyone else. I am so sorry about that. Ugh. Janelle, breathing. Oh, okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. Thank you. Lung guy. Okay, Bruce, lung guy. Thank you. So a pulmonologist is a lung person. You always hear about cardiopulmonary. So I knew that they were linked or related, but of course maybe they're not. I don't know. I'm not a medical guy. I'm a guitar player that knows a little bit about the Bible. Jessica, medical stigma regarding my movement disorder when it was really bad. Yeah. People, you know what? Anything that deviates from what people consider to be the norm, people pick on that stuff. Drives me nuts. Lung doctor Free says, thank you. I appreciate it, you guys. Lauren, it's a lung doctor. Okay. All right. Pulmonologist is lung doctor. Thank you. I'm being educated tonight. Thank you. Breathing. Okay. Lungs. Got it. So pulmonologist is a lung person. Got it. All right. Very, very good. All right. So I'm going to leave this up here for just a minute, and then I'm going to go back to the text and wrap up the night. But question number 2, tell about a time or two when you were mistreated. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. Let me go back to the text. I'll leave that up there for a minute. We're almost done. It's a short chapter. All right. So what is this happening here? Then the angel of the Lord said to her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. The angel added, I will increase your descendants so much, they'll be too numerous to count. The angel of the Lord also said to her, this is about her son that's going to be born. You are now pregnant and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him ISHMAEL, for the Lord has heard of your misery. And look at this. He will be a wild donkey of a man, and his hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand will be against him, and he will live in hostility towards all his brothers. Can you imagine living in hostility toward everyone? Look at verse 13. She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me. Now you don't see this anywhere else in the Bible. This is just what she called him. So as far as divine names go, this is the one that she says to him because Well, you'll see in a minute. For she said, I have now seen the one who sees me. So she looked on the face of the angel of the Lord, which is a physical representation of God on the earth. That is why the well was called Bir Lahai Roy. Yeah, it's actually beer, but no one says that. It looks like beer, like hallelujah, have a beer. That's what it looks like. But it's actually pronounced beer, almost like BEE-AYR, beer, which means a well. It means a cistern or a well. And Lahai Roy means that the Lord sees me, He views me, He can see me. So that place was called the well of the Lord who sees me, or the one, not even Lord, it's actually just person, the one, the person who sees me. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. Look at this. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave him the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Now watch this, guys. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. Now look at this. I want to go back to the promise of God to illustrate where Islam comes from. All right, you guys, look. The angel of the Lord, he says this, you are now pregnant, you will give birth to the son, you shall call his name Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man, and his hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility with all of his brothers. Look at this, you guys. I want you to understand this. First of all, this is the angel of the Lord, as I said a little while ago. It's not an angel of the Lord, not just an angel. It's the angel of the Lord, meaning this is a pre-incarnate, visible representation of Jesus Christ on the earth in the form of an angel. Now, notice angels don't increase descendants, but the angel of the Lord says, I will increase your descendants. I will give you descendants. Angels don't create. Angels don't create. They're messengers. Angelos, which is where we get the word angel, means messenger, someone who gives information. They give messages, they comfort, they protect, but they don't create. So the angel of the Lord, see, the angel of the Lord, that's God in the form of an angel. He will increase the descendants of this woman. No angel can increase descendants. No angel can create descendants. Only God can do that. And then he says, you are pregnant, you'll give birth to a son, you'll call him Ishmael. Now watch this. He's a wild donkey of a man. Think about, and this is where Islam comes from. His hand will be against everyone. You ever noticed how there always, even today, is nothing but violence in that part of the world? In the Arabic world, there has been and still is nothing but violence toward each other, toward their citizens, toward their women, toward anybody, as well as against each other. And it says here, everyone's hand will be against him, because traditionally and historically, since the beginning, everyone in the Islamic countries has been at war with everyone. And it says that he, Ishmael, will live in hostility towards all of his brothers. That's the true story. Now listen, I'm going to go a little bit, I'm going to get rid of this question for a minute. I'm going to go just a little bit into what this means. Hagar has a baby with Abram. The baby is called Ishmael. Ishmael will eventually become what's called the father of Islam. All people in the Arabic world who follow the religion of Islam comes from Ishmael. This is why now eventually in the upcoming weeks, you're going to see that Hagar and Ishmael basically leave and they flee out into the desert. What happens is they do create a people, because God just said, you saw with your own eyes the words. God says, I will give you a great amount of descendants. But this guy, this son of yours, is going to be a wild donkey of a man. He will always be fighting with everybody, and his descendants are going to fight with everybody. They're going to fight with each other, brother against brother, and they're going to fight against all the nations, and all the nations are going to fight against them. And it's happened from the beginning, and it's still happening today. This is the birth of Islam. This is where the two of the three major faiths of the world. You've got Jews, you've got Christians, and you've got Islam. Those are the three major faiths of the world. They're all called the Abrahamic traditions. They all come from Abraham. Now, of course, we split off from the Jews, but we're still one family. But before that happens, Islam splits off from the Jews in Hagar and Ishmael. They go off on their own and will be over the next couple of weeks as you see this story sort of recapitulate and reorganize, that they simply go off. And that group that God promises to make a great nation, meaning a large, great not meaning good, great meaning large. It's a huge, large nation of people. The Arabic world is huge. The Islamic world is huge. That's because God promised that, because she bore a child to Abram. But it's not the child of promise. The child of promise is yet to come. The child of promise, who we come from, will not be Ishmael. No, it's going to be another one. I'll tell you about that next week. But the promise was made. This is not the promise. So because they circumvented the promise and took it into their own hands, Hagar and Ishmael will eventually go off on their own, and Ishmael will start the religion of Islam. This is why to this day, Islam, even though they have the Quran, which I have several copies of, and I've taught through, like, I don't teach it, but I've taught many classes on what are called comparative religions. So I've studied it. I know what it says. I have several copies of it in my office. Again, the people that follow Islam do adhere to parts of the Old Testament, specifically parts of the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, but more specifically to the book of Genesis, because that's where they're from. That's where they come from. But Islam is not the promised line that Christ would come from. It's not the promised line of God's people. It's not. Is it a great nation, meaning a large nation? Of course it is, because God said it would be. But it's not the child of promise, and it is not the children of God. That is the Jews, of which we split off from, but are still a part of. We are still a part of that core group. So we'll get into that as we sort of further get down the road here. You see what a couple of people are saying. George Carroll got beat up a lot as a kid growing up in the 60s in Roseland. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. Try it now, right? You stab them with one of those knives that you give me. Tammy, George, is that why you learn martial arts and work security for the rest of us? I would bet so. This is why he's a 3rd or 4th degree black belt, and he has his own dojo. Yeah, because probably got tired of getting beat up as a kid. I used to get beat up by my brother all the time. He's 2 years older than me until I got bigger than him. Then things changed. But anyway. All right, guys. So this is how Islam starts, is with Ishmael. But our story continues next week as we get into chapter 17. So we just reviewed the story of Hagar, Sarai, Abram, and Ishmael. We just reviewed that whole story. Again, the questions that we have were the first one was, tell about a time you made a really rushed decision without waiting to see. Because I'm telling you, sometimes it's better to wait, let all the pieces come into place first, so that you don't go out half-cocked, so you don't go out half, like, not doing things right. Let the pieces come into place so that when you make a move, it's secure. Otherwise, you run the risk of jumping into something, as you saw so many people show. You made a rash decision or a rush decision. Sometimes it works out for the best, but a lot of times it's very, very painful because there's no security along the way. And then you have to make your own security, and it's difficult. And then the second question was, tell about a time or two when you were mistreated. All these things happened in this Bible story from tonight, and it's all happened to us as well. Now, with that being said, we're going to wrap up just a few minutes early tonight. But before we do, I want to encourage you, especially those of you that have made judgments and made decisions that you maybe were rash in or rushed or maybe didn't think them all the way through. We've all done it. No one here has clean hands. All of our hands are dirty. Every single one of us has done this. And, sometimes it takes not so long to recover because you're able to pick up the pieces. But for some people, it takes decades to recover. Some people never recover. Some people never recover financially. Some people never recover emotionally. Some people don't recover physically. So it's kind of a crapshoot if you don't wait until all the pieces are in place when you make big decisions like that. And then, of course, being mistreated, it's happened to all of us. And the unfortunate thing is we'd have to look back at ourselves and go, have we mistreated others? Because I have. And if I mistreated you, I'm very sorry, because I certainly today I would be a different person about that stuff. I would try not to do that unless I absolutely had to. But other than that, no, I would be good to most people nowadays. So listen, folks, I want you to join me in a word of prayer. And then as always, I have one more thing for you before we go. So join me if you would in a word of prayer. God, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for sharing this story in your word with us, this factual historical documentation of how Islam started, as well as how we need to make sure that we wait for pieces to be in place. Because when you make a promise, you follow through on those promises. Not everything happens in our time, but things happen in your time. So help us to be better at understanding that. And Lord, I pray forgiveness for myself, for anyone that I've mistreated. And I pray that there would be forgiveness in the hearts of people that have been mistreated over the years. And I ask God that even though sometimes it's really difficult to forgive mistreatment, I pray that you would help us to find the ability and the courage to forgive people, even if they've mistreated us, and help us to move forward, help us to move on and leave those things in the past. And Lord, I just pray now for everybody's heart who's listening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me here. I'm going to jump over to the comment section, see what people are saying. Brenda says, see y'all in a couple weeks. I'm leaving Minnesota in a few days. Totally loving on the great grandkids, and then heading to Memphis for a while. Enjoy Thursday Bible study this week. That's right. We have Bible study tomorrow. First of all, not to get this cart ahead of the horse. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 12 o'clock noon, I have Worship Wednesday. It's 10 a.m. on the Pacific Coast. That'll be tomorrow, about a 15-minute devotional. Then Thursday night, if you're in the area, join us at Brenda's house, even though she's not going to be there. We're going to go take it over anyway. And we are going to have our small group there. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody to meet us there. Deb says, good night, everyone. See some of you Thursday. Have a great rest of the week. I agree. Listen, guys, do me a favor. If you're signing off, throw something up in the comment section. Say good night to everyone.
Good night, everyone. Have an awesome Jesus filled
Come over here.
No.
You want to come over here?
No, but you can say it.
Good night, everyone. What?
Have an amazing Jesus filled week.
I can't. You should say it. She's got back from getting her hair did. All right. Judy says good night. Lauren says good night. Have a great week. Love y'all. Cheska, love y'all. See you next weekend Sunday. That's right. You better be there. We'll see you then. Frida, have a blessed week. How sweet is that? Bruce says adios. He's practicing his Spanish. George, good night, everybody. Veronica, have a great blessed week. Very sweet. Darla, good night. May God bless you this week. I love that. May everyone have a lovely week. And good night, everyone. And there's Jen. Good night, and keep the prayers coming. Yes, we love you and your little girls. Very, very much so. Tammy says the Greg person looks like Jesus. Yeah, he kind of does. Big Frank, have a great night, everyone. God bless you all. Hey, Frank, we're coming to visit. I'm telling you, man. 91 degrees. You got a swimming pool. As long as you got a weight set, I'm coming to visit. I'm going to work out in your garage with you and go swimming in your pool and eat your food. All right, guys. Have a great night. Thanks for joining me. Love you all. Be safe and be good to each other. And Frank says anytime. And hey, the open invitation here for you as well. Anytime you want to come by to your old stomping grounds, mi casa, you casa. Come stop by, man. You're always welcome here. Guys, have a great night. Love you all. Cheers.